Dang it, guys.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Torch Sports. We start, as we usually do, with the Orange Zone crew, that being Sophie Starkey, Luke Attal, and Luke Lamery. I'm your host, Jackson Schock. And the Volunteer men's basketball team only has 3 games remaining for the rest of the season, and of those 3, only 1 is against a ranked opponent, that opponent being Alabama this weekend on Saturday. To take a look at the implications of this game, let's take a closer look at the AP poll. And it's a pretty poll to look at in that Tennessee and Alabama are both involved in the top 6, which means that this game is going to be a really big deal and have a lot of heavy implications.
Yeah, and just looking at the top 6 right there, 4 of those are SEC teams. And so the SEC is dominating the polls right now in college basketball, and there were more before Texas A&M lost. So, all the SEC games you have left this season mean something.
Absolutely, and this game on Saturday is going to mean a lot. If the Vols want to win this Saturday, we're going to start with you, Attal. Do they need to focus more on offense or defense?
I'm going to say defense, and I'll explain why. Our defense is very good, that's clear. It's clear that Rick Barnes knows how to coach defense. However, Alabama is the top scoring offense in the country in college basketball right now, and so they are tough to stop. They're averaging they're putting up tons of points per game.
80 points.
However, 80 points per game. However, they are the 5 points away from being the worst team in points allowed per game in college basketball. So I think if our defense holds up and keeps them to below those 80 points where they're putting up a lot of numbers, I think our offense is going to be fine since their defense is not very good.
Lim?
Well, I'm going to say defense as well. I mean, if you're looking at what we need to focus on more, it's our defense. Because, like he said, the Alabama offense, I mean, they are absolutely knocking socks off. I mean, if you look at the roster, I saw it somewhere in the 90s points per game. I mean, they're putting up a lot of points, okay? It's been impressive. 111 on Mississippi State, 111. And that's a close game. These aren't blowouts where it's like a Kim Caldwell game where you can just, keep scoring for willy-nilly. But, I mean, look, it's, and 93 on Kentucky, 103 on Texas. Look, it's, this is our Longhorn buddy over here who loves the Longhorns, 103. Look, they're really talented on offense. They can really shoot. Mark Sears has really led that team. And I'm going to tell you what, they really function well as a cohesive unit. Our defense needs to lock in and lock down this Alabama offense.
I think it's going to be unanimous here. Defense is the key to winning this game. Tennessee needs to lean into its strength right now, limiting turnovers, forcing turnovers, and limiting opportunities to score. But the key within our defense is rebounding. That's going to determine who wins or loses this game. Alabama and Tennessee are neck and neck right now. Alabama's averaging about 35 a game. Tennessee's averaging about 38. So it's kind of anyone's game right now. But whoever limits the most amount of second chance points is going to walk away with this win.
So defense-centric because of the amount of scoring. What do you think? Higher or lower, you don't know the spread, but if you were to guess, are you going to think that Alabama is able to cover, or I guess both teams are able to go over the spread as they typically do?
I think
So we don't know the spread?
I don't have it off the top of my head.
I think Alabama does end up putting up more points than whatever the spread will be because it's at Alabama. If this was in Knoxville, I think it's a different story.
Absolutely.
Home is going to help them a little bit, but like we said, if the Tennessee defense is working well, then I think we can counter that.
Who do you think really needs to step up this Saturday?
She said it best, rebounding wins games. And we've talked about that on the show before, and the guy that I've talked about on the show before is Cade Phillips. Cade Phillips is someone who I want to see step up a little bit more in this coming game against Alabama. He's not the starter like Felix Apara and Igor Milicic is, but like we've said, he's the 7th man of the year in my opinion. He's a guy who comes off the bench with energy, and he's excited to play, and he's going to get you those energetic rebounds. And I want to see him be really physical when he comes into the game, because when we take out our 2 big men, you're looking at who's next, next man up, and Cade Phillips is that next man up. So I want to see him continue to, show that he is 7th man of the year for this team.
Absolutely. I'm going to continue our streak of talking about big men here. Not only am I going to name someone who has played well, but has to have a successful game Saturday for us to win, that's Felix. He is our driving force, our first forward to go in. Him and Igor have been having really great connections so far, but it's vital for them. because we need them down there for rim protection, shot blocks, offensive, defensive rebounding, and his defensive versatility, the ability to block opposing forwards and switch to centers. We need him to be on. He played great this Tuesday against LSU, 15 points, 8 rebounds. I'd like to see that rebound get to 10 for this Alabama game. But not only does Cade need to come off the bench hot, but Felix and Igor already need to have the game made at that point.
Well, I like the big men. I mean, we talked about that since Vanderbilt. We need to get physical down there, and I like those takes. And the guy that I'm going to say is not necessarily small either. Let's talk Igor, okay? Let's talk Igor a little bit because he's a big guy, and he can really play the ball well. But he filled the role a couple of games ago at Mizzou. He filled that role well of the scorer that we need to step up when all of a sudden we don't have somebody that's making consistent baskets. He filled that role. All of a sudden he's gone a little bit cold. So, I mean, he's been cold for a couple of games. You know, I'm expecting him to have a pretty solid game here. But he's a big man that cannot not just score, but also get those rebounds and also box out and really be physical down in the paint. He's that guy that's going to step up and be both sides of the ball. That's going to, get those rebounds. It's going to get physical, and he's going to put up points too.
Very quickly, who do you think is going to win this Saturday?
The Vols. Yeah, I mean,
no question.
Okay, out of bias, I mean, it's going to be close. But, I mean, it's going to be a really, really great game. Really one of the top games of the year. But, I mean, I can't willingly sit here and tell you that the Tide are going to win.
Dick Vitale's going to be there calling.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Yeah.
If we keep shooting like we've been shooting, Chaz, and we put our best defense forward, it's all Vols. But it's not home, which hurts us a lot. And there's every time we've gone away, we've really needed that shooter. So it is actually, wait, this is a home game.
Yes.
Did I just say it right? We've been saying it's
All right,
away
well, now
the
we
whole
know that
time.
it is a home game. I have one question
Why
before
have
we
we
move
been
on.
saying-
Before we move on, one quick question. Luke, have you been able to find, did you find the guy?
Yeah, it's
The guy.
The guy that stole your razor. What do we got going?
Ridiculous. Okay. Yeah.
Moving on, we wanted to give some love to the less reported athletics here at Tennessee, and to do so, our in-house golf unshaved resident reporter
calling him out.
is going to talk about the world of women's golf
I
at
got it from
Tennessee.
here,
Go ahead.
Jackson. In their most recent tournament, the women's golf team at the Daniels Island Invitational finished 4th out of all the teams, which is their 4th top 5 finish of the season. Pretty good for them. They shot 3 over 3 days, and they were led by Manasseh Chodikabukana, who shot a record 5 under par the first day and 7 under over 3 days. It's a pretty low score.
That's a
I
very
can't do
low
that.
score.
I'm pretty sure you guys can't do that either.
You know
So
I can't. You've seen me on the course.
I've seen you on the course. That's impressive. But they are coming in hot. 4 top 5 finishes this season. And you can catch them in action if you want to watch some golf. March 17th, go down to Austin, Texas. You mentioned I'm a Longhorn.
Wait a minute.
No,
Austin,
we're
Texas.
Wait a
not
minute.
promoting
Betsy Walls
Texas
Longhorn
here.
Invitational. That's
Not
the next
this
tournament up
channel.
for these teams, and hopefully they do
That's
just as well as
really-
they did in this past one.
What's the coincidence, huh?
What a
What are the odds? What are
They
the
happen to be
odds?
playing at Texas. Oh, I have to watch.
Lamb, why don't we move on? I know that Swim and Dive had a really successful month as a whole.
Oh, they've been on fire. Look, the Vols traveled down to Athens, Georgia last week for the SEC Championships. Needless to say, the Vols dominated. They took down 2 NCAA records, 10 Tennessee records, as well as taking home 28 total medals and 54 top Tennessee times. Jordan Crooks and Camille Spink both had impressive performances, with Spink taking home 5 gold medals and earning the co-commissioner's trophy. So really impressive all around, not only just at the SECs, but the whole month. The Vols Swim and Dive team has been on fire.
Excellent. Good note to end on, because that's going to wrap up this section of the Orange Zone, but we'll be back with a little bit more fun. We're going to have a special guest, Alexi Cowan. She's going to come in and host a new game called King of the Court. But that's all we got right now. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Rocky Talk is on deck. We're going to see you right here after this short break.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
right there. Wait. Use the shovel and bucket of water, remember? Drown, stir, drown, feel. Then make sure it's cool.
Where'd you learn that?
SmokeyBear.com. Brushed up on some tips before we left. Don't want to start a wildfire, right?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
We are the Tennessee Volunteers. People who create connections, push boundaries, do the research that changes lives. We've got world-class academics and championship athletics. To be the best, you gotta learn from the best. And if you wanna lead, you gotta light the way. We've got what it takes. It takes a volunteer.
Guess who's back? Back again. None other than good old Rocky Talk. We got Alex Carpenter. We got Tristan Thornhill, Jeremy Knott II, and of course, we have you guys joining us for the ride. So with that being said, time to crank this baby into high gear and begin this trip with volunteer baseball. Tennessee is letting the baseball world know that they are coming for a second consecutive national championship, and they are showing it with their dominant start to 2025. The Volunteers recently edged out North Alabama 7-5 this past Tuesday. And highlights of this showdown, they range from Gavin Keelan picking up 2 runs, Jay Abernathy and Reese Chapman leading on RBIs. And how about those pitchers? A.J. Russell, Michael Sharman, and Ryan Combs combining for 8 strikeouts. The Baseballs now prepare for their first games outside of Lindsey Nelson Stadium, as they will travel down to Houston for the Astros Foundation College Classic, playing against programs like Oklahoma State, Rice, and Arizona. So, many of these Vols stood out in this game, but I want to focus on these pitchers for a moment. So, out of the men that got some time on the mound, because there were a lot, who might be the Vols' head pitcher moving forward?
Oh, without a doubt, I think it's Liam Doyle, and you have inspired me to get fired about this baseball team. 2025 All-American, third in the I think he's third team, and I think he's first in the SEC. This is a guy that's got a .87 ERA, a .387 WHIP, and 25 Ks right now. Do you know how bonkers that is? One walk over the 2. I know it's only 2 innings. I know it's only 2 innings right now, but this guy is absolutely ridiculous. Had a semi-decent year with Ole Miss, and he's built on that. I don't think everybody was expecting him to come in this year with this exact output, but he is, shocked the nation. He's certainly shocked my expectations, but I think Tony and his staff really expected this. His average rate for a strikeout right now is at 75.8%. The average for D1 baseball, 20%. That is insanity, and I don't think everybody understands. He had a 5.73 ERA with Ole Miss last year. His fastball velo sits at like 94, 98 right now, which is a tick up about what it was last year. And he's throwing that fastball 66% of the time. You know it's coming, and you still can't do squat against it. So that's why I'm gonna have Liam Doyle as my ace going forward. I know we have guys like Marcus. I'm going Liam Doyle just because he's a junior. He's already high on my draft board. I'm going Liam Doyle to be the ace for this Tennessee squad.
Now, you make a great point. Now, he has been shoving so lately, and if you go off of just this season and how things have gone so far, it's got to be Doyle who's your ace. But for me, I want to focus on a guy who 4 months ago was on the operating table. He was getting the old Tommy John surgery, but just this Tuesday, he came out, pitched the first inning. I'm talking about A.J. Russell. This guy is coming back from surgery weeks early, more than he was supposed to. He was supposed to be a guy who came back for SEC series, was your big guy. He was pretty good last year. He's high on a bunch of draft boards as well. And he comes out, and you know what he does? He doesn't strike out. He strikes out the first guy, the second guy, and the third guy. We're talking 3 strikeouts to start the game, 19 pitches, gets a standing O, goes back and sits the dugout. This is the kind of guy we're dealing with. Coach Tony Vitello told him, look, you can either do a simulated game on Wednesday or you can pitch in the real game against North Alabama on Tuesday. You know the guy's a competitor. He wants to go out there and show that he's still got it, and he's the guy you want on the bump on a Saturday game.
And listen, I'm sorry, we cut you off real quick, but this is the guy that, sat after the game and said to himself that he wants to be a part of this squad moving forward.
No doubt.
It doesn't matter where he is in that lineup, but he wants to be a part of that squad moving forward.
Well, we can talk about the Volunteers all that we want, but this next 3-game stretch, it is no gimme, especially after seeing how close this past game was against North Alabama. Big Orange are going to need to buckle up for these next few opponents. So with that in mind, which of these 3 teams and their key players have the best opportunity to give the Vols some trouble in H-Town?
Well, I mean, you're starting off on Friday with a strong program historically with Oklahoma State, the Cowboys, I believe, and then you have Rice on Saturday and Arizona to close it out on Sunday. Going down to Houston early on in the season, this is a great test for a young baseball team in Tony Vitello's team. But for me, I'm going to go with the opening game Friday against Oklahoma State. This is a team that struggled to open up the season. They're on a 4-game winning streak right now. They were picked to finish first in the Big 12 in the preseason polls. Haven't really performed as much as they should have so far. They've got a guy batting over 400 right now, so he could cause a little trouble for these pitchers. And I think they lead the Big 12 in strikeout percentage. So could have a little bit of trouble. I know Arizona is also a little tricky as well.
Yeah, I'm going Arizona, and I talked about it briefly on 4-Pitch Mix on the Torch Sports Insta.
Good
Go
plug.
check it out.
Good plug.
They're 5-3, and all 3 of their losses right now are against neutral site, teams. They've played some SEC gauntlets, but I'm going Arizona. They're ranked 35th on the RPI index. They've already faced Ole Miss. They've already faced Clemson, who was number 15 at the time, and Louisville, and those were their 3 losses. They won against Rice yesterday, 11-8. But I think the main thing going for Arizona right now, going into that game against Tennessee, is the experience that they'll have. They're going to be playing teams like they already played Rice. They're going to be playing number 18 Mississippi State, and then number 1 Texas A&M. That's all you need. This is going to be a quick trick for Arizona. They're going down there, just see what they've got. And this is the same thing for Tennessee. Tony even told us, after the post-game scrum, he said, this is still a puzzle that we're still trying to solve. We don't know who works best out of the bullpen, who's going to be in what avenue coming out of the bullpen. And I think that might be one thing that hurts the Volunteers later on in the season is who's going to be in what slot. It might hurt them against Arizona on Sunday, especially. It sounds ridiculous. This game's a 10:05 start. That also might hurt Tennessee. It's a 10:05 start CST. And we also have a lot of freshmen that are, the building blocks of this team and transfers. You get down there, you're at a major league park, you got sights and sounds that you want to absorb. But when come first pitch, you got to lock in. And we've seen this Tennessee team in the past. Can they lock in? They're sometimes, not the best away from home. So that's why I'm giving Arizona a slight edge. I think Tennessee comes away from Houston unscathed. But if there was one team, I'd have to give it to Arizona.
Yeah, the Big Orange definitely have some big competition coming up, and they'll be looking to continue their undefeated streak in the Lone Star State. But now we transition from the dirt to the ice, as the first annual Four Nations Face-Off was full of surprise and emotion. This all-new hockey competition featured 4 clubs competing from Finland, Sweden, Canada, and the United States. Each club will play against the other 3 once, with the 2 countries with the best overall record moving on to the grand finale. Canada and the United States gave their all for the championship, and in the end, it was Sam Bennett, Nathan McKinnon, and Jordan Bennington paving the way for Canada's 3-2 overtime victory, winning themselves one of the most historic competitions in hockey of all time. So, without a doubt, there was a ton of heat even after the match between both sides, but I want to take it back to the beginning of overtime in a moment that has sparked some controversy. So, let's take a look here. So the beginning of overtime, for all you youngins watching at home, let's play a game. It counts how many red jerseys you see on the ice. So let's see. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players on the ice for Canada.
I don't think that's how hockey works.
That would be what you would consider sometimes illegal substitution. But in this case, it could be difficult to tell if this was truly a penalty or not because of how close and how quickly it was. However, since this was especially late in the match, was it the right move for the referees to just keep the play going, or was this a missed call that could have completely altered the outcome of this match?
Let me just say this, Jeremy. Out of all of the leagues that I thought were going to fix the All-Star break, I would have never thought that Gary Bettman in the NHL would be the guys who were able to fix a very difficult area in sports. The NBA, they're record low numbers on their All-Star game. Players aren't hustling. Things just aren't going the way they need to. The NHL comes out here with a brand new Four Nations thing. We're having NHL-style players, not college players like we see in the Olympics of the past. We're talking about the big guys playing for their country, and they wore it and they owned it. It was absolutely sensational. We had people who know nothing about hockey cheering for the United States, trying to beat the old Canadians from up north, and I hate that it didn't go the United States' way in the end. And yes, I can count. That was too many men. I understand that that was a pivotal moment in the game, but the United States lost that game fair and square. It was a tough loss, and they just got a little bit too passive-aggressive in overtime.
Well, you'd argue that it was a bold strategy, and it certainly paid out for Canada. You know, I understand 6 men. I understand that. Who the heck cares? I watched hockey. I don't watch hockey unless it's, Rangers or we're in the postseason.
I'm proud of you.
I watched hockey. I figured it out. What you just said. The NHL figured it out where the NBA couldn't.
How?
They have a much smaller demographic and smaller market teams right now. The NHL does, and they figured it out. I think about PK Subban, and he called out the NBA on his program on ESPN, saying, "Why haven't you figured this out? If you're the NBA, why is the All-Star game such a gimmick? You had Chris Paul and Wemby doing crap, and now you have Four Nations, which was absolutely electric. To me, it got me to watch hockey. Like I said, it's a huge success because of the energy, because of the passion, because of the emotion. And if the refs messing up a couple calls, influences that and gasses that up, I'm all for it. I got zero problem with it. I think it's a huge boost for the game. It brings us the human element. I watched hockey, and I'm going to keep doing it if that's what it's going to look like.
I'm amped up right now. He's got me going.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
Heck yeah. This is one of the most historic hockey competitions of all time. I say the ratings, they skyrocketed. So can't wait to see how this thing goes as the years go by. So now with that, we have crossed the finish line for tonight's Rocky Talk. For Alex and Tristan, I said thank you all once again for your time with us and your never-ending support. Stick around as Jordan and more will take you to the summit. Don't you dare go away.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Right there. Wait. Use the shovel and bucket of water, remember? Drown, stir, drown, feel. Then make sure it's cool.
Where'd you learn that?
SmokeyBear.com. Brushed up on some tips before we left. Don't want to start a wildfire, right?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
We are the Tennessee Volunteers. People who create connections, push boundaries, do the research that changes lives. We've got world-class academics and championship athletics. To be the best, you gotta learn from the best. And if you wanna lead, you gotta light the way. We've got what it takes. It takes a volunteer.
Welcome back to yet another episode of The Summit. I'm your host, Jordan Smitherman, and we have a great crew here for you today. We have Jack Lennon, Alexis Rima, and Patrick Falcon. And today we are going to dive into our Lady Vols basketball team and dive into some softball. So to start off, safe to say Kim Caldwell has the Lady Vols cooking at the right time. They have won 4 straight, have only lost 1 game in February to LSU, which is one of the top teams, and are ranked number 11 in the AP Top 25. Now they're gearing up for the postseason with only 2 games left against number 15 Kentucky and unranked Georgia. Tennessee is supposed to have a deep run during March Madness, and in the latest bracketology, they are ranked as a 4 seed projected to play 13 seed Florida Gulf Coast. Okay, so to ask y'all, what's the best, most realistic case scenario for the Lady Vols in the postseason or in general? Jack, you want to start?
Yeah, best case scenario obviously is win out. That's the main goal to start. You have to win these last 2 games. Kentucky's a really tough team. Georgia should be somewhat of a freebie. You don't like to predict these games too early, but that one shouldn't be too difficult. They play sound physical defense. They average 5.1 steals per game, more than their opponents. They actually score the most of any team in the country, 89.7 points per game. So this is a team that goes 2 ways. They play really strong on both ends of the court. I like the way they rebound as a group, and I'm really looking for the group contributions here in the tournament.
Nice. Alexis, what do you got?
I'm going to go off of you, Jack, and how you're talking about this group contribution that needs to be present. I think what we've seen as problems with the Lady Vols is not staying in it till the final second. Now, recently, we have seen success with this, as versus Florida, we were down by 11 points in the first half, and we came back and won that game. Now, 5 out of 6 of our losses have been within 5 points. The other one to South Carolina was only by 7, so really not that much different. So I think if we just had that push from the whole group, we needed a little push to contribute for the whole game, knowing that the last seconds are just as important as everything else. I think that's what will give us the biggest opportunity to make it deeper into the tournament, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jack. Best case scenario, obviously, is win out. And then you kind of get that momentum. You're going in a little bit hot into the postseason here. Right now, we're sitting around the 7 or 8 seed. But the teams in front of us, up to like the 3 or 4 seed, aren't that far ahead of us. I think we win our next 2 games. Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Kentucky, they can drop a few. We can even push up to the 5 or 6 seed, maybe 4 if we get a little bit lucky there. That helps us with better seeding in the tournament. We get a lot easier games. We're not having to play Texas and South Carolina as easily. And even so, we kind of competed with those teams a little bit. I think we can make a little bit of a deep push, possibly the finals of the SEC tournament, probably more likely the semifinals of the SEC tournament. I think we could beat that 5, 6 seed, especially if we get up there to that 4 seed. And then I think that builds momentum going into March. We've seen those Kim Caldwell teams, when they win their last few games going into the postseason, they do really well in conference tournaments. We talked about that last week with Glenville State, and they start doing well in the NCAA tournament as well. So I think that's what we're looking for here with Kim Caldwell and the Lady Vols.
Yes, great points, everyone. And it's important to be at your best when March comes along, because as we know, anything can happen. Okay, so next, speaking of March as it's coming up, which player do you guys think will pop off in the NCAA tournament, and why? Patrick?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jewel Spears. I think she's been awesome. I think right now she's actually outplaying Taleja on the offensive end. She's averaging about 18.8 points per game in her last few games, and she's just getting it done. I mean, right now she gets 5 big booms. That's all I gotta say for her. I think she's gonna pop off in the NCAA tournament, and I mean she's shooting the 3-ball well. I think 5 of her last 7 games, she has 50% or over on 3-point percentage. And there's like one she went 1 for 2. But she's going 5 for 7, 4 for 8, stuff like that. She's shooting a lot of threes, and she's so efficient right now. And those guards and those threes are what's going to win you those tournament games.
And I also feel like her veteran presence will help as well.
100%.
Been here a while. Alexis?
So actually, going off of what you just said, I'm going to go and say Ruby Whitehorn. Now, even though she's a junior, this is her first season as a Lady Vol, as she's a Clemson transfer. Currently on the team, she is 2nd in points. She is 3rd in total rebounds and 3rd in blocks, showing that she can play both sides of the team. Also, she achieved her 1,000-point mark this season. So I think she has a really strong ability to shine and make a name for herself in this tournament.
Sweet. Jack, what you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go with Samara Spencer. Look, this lady's averaging 5 assists per game, the most of anyone on the team. She's 5'7" and pulling down 4 rebounds a game to go along with 11 points per game. I really think she's the X factor. I don't think this Lady Vols team is any big pieces away. They're 16 points away from being undefeated. That should tell you all you need to know about how well this Kim Caldwell team has played. Playing against teams like LSU and Dawn Staley, South Carolina Gamecocks, that's not easy to do. I think that Samara Spencer really contributes on the floor defensively as well, and on the glass especially, very well for her height. I think that for them to win, she needs to play well. She's a very good leader for this team. She's a solid defensive player. She contributes on both ends. They need her to play well to win any sort of games in March.
Yeah, great insight. And we can't wait to watch our Lady Vols in March as they march towards the postseason. So, on to softball. There is so much to look forward to with this new look Lady Vol squad. Even though the loss of All-American Kiki Malloy and veteran Peyton Gottschall hurts, stars are still on Rocky Top like pitcher Carlin Pickens and McKenna Gibson, and some new faces that are contributing as well, such as freshman pitcher Aaron Newer and Washington transfer Kinsey Fiedler, all of their 3 losses have been to top 20 teams, as Nebraska was number 19 at the time, Oregon was also 19, and UCLA was number 4. This is great competition for the Lady Vols as they get their season started, but now they get to spend some much needed time at home, where there are 99 and 22 since 2021. So, with all that being said, what excites you most about this year's softball squad, Alexis?
So there is so much that excites me about this softball team, but I personally am going to have to go with pitching as what excites me most. So starting off, of course, we have Carlin Pickens, who is the reigning SEC Pitcher of the Year, and she was crucial in our regular season championship of the SEC. Now, what really excites me a lot is our freshman pitchers. We have 2 of the top 10 recruits that are freshmen as pitchers, in Aaron Newer and Peyton Tanner. Now, Peyton Tanner had a game with striking out, or had a no-hitter, had struck out 4 batters and only gave up 2 hits versus McNeese State. Aaron Newer had a no-hitter in her Tennessee debut. Now, I just think there's so much potential talent, and I don't know, I just feel like how can you not be excited about this pitching team?
That's true. Patrick?
I'm ready for SEC play. I don't want to go to frickin' California and play Oregon and Oregon State and UCLA. No, I want to play SEC. I want to play Alabama. I want to play LSU. I want to see how Carlin Pickens and Aaron Newer do against these SEC bats. We have Oklahoma's the top team in the country. They're joining the conference. Give me them. I want the best of the best, and I want SEC ball. I'm done with the Pac-12. They're not even the Pac-12 anymore. I don't care. Big Ten, whatever you want. I'm an SEC homer. I want to see us play SEC ball. We're running it back this year. SEC regular season champs, but we're winning the tournament again this year too. And Carlin Pickens, she's going to lead us there. .91 ERA. You see it now. You're going to see it in SEC play too.
I love it. Jack?
Don't even get me started on the Pac-12. Anyway, I like this team's grit of anything about them. They take a really tough loss, 1-0 in extra innings to Oregon. Those losses can be really demoralizing, especially for your pitchers who turn in performances like this day in and day out. Losing 1-0 is often very, very hard, but they come around the next day and destroy the Oregon State Beavers by a final score of 10-0. Same case with UCLA. They're up 3-0 early stages of the game. They end up falling 4-3, but the next day they come back, they bounce back, and they win their next game. So I really like this team's grit. I was able to get to their game yesterday. Wasn't even close. Mercy rule after 5 innings. The bats looked great. The pitching, like you guys said, looked really good. But this grit really impressed me about this Tennessee Lady Vols team.
Yes, as Patrick said, we can't wait for the Lady Vols to get to SEC play, as that's where the true competition begins. So that's all for the Summit this week. Thanks for tuning in, and stick around for Orange Zone after the break.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Right there. Wait. Use the shovel and bucket of water, remember? Drown, stir, drown, feel. Then make sure it's cool.
Where'd you learn that?
SmokeyBear.com. Brushed up on some tips before we left. Don't want to start a wildfire, right?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
We are the Tennessee Volunteers. People who create connections, push boundaries, do the research that changes lives. We've got world-class academics and championship athletics. To be the best, you gotta learn from the best. And if you want to lead, you gotta light the way. We've got what it takes. It takes
All right,
a
welcome back to
volunteer.
the Orange Zone. I'm Jackson Schock. That's Luke Attal, Luke Lamery, Sophie Starkey, and of course our special guest and host, Alexi Cowan. I'm going to explain the game here. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Here, it's called King of the Court. Alexi's going to give us questions. Whoever she feels answers the question to the best of their abilities or to an appropriate answer will stay. The loser gets off. A new person will approach. We start the whole process again. Question, answer. We got 5 of these. Super simple, super basic. We got a lot of fun. What'd you say?
Do I have any lives, any strikes? Or
If you
anything?
lose and the cycle comes back to you, you come back in. But until then, it's just next person up. All right?
And we don't know the question, so this
No, we
this
do
could
not.
get- this could get
We were
dicey.
told.
I do.
All we were told is we needed to study up on Tennessee coaches, both men's and women's, and their successes and failures, whatever that
Very
means.
broad.
I hope
So-
my studying
All of
is
Tennessee's
going to help me a
history.
little bit.
Without further ado, let's get started. Our first matchup is, of course, going to be Luke versus Luke.
Oh,
Alexi,
boy.
the
Oh,
floor
let's
is
do it.
yours. We will get out of the way.
So what is right here?
Right here.
All right,
Family
boys.
Feud.
Facing me. Boom.
Shake hands. Shake hands.
Yeah, Family Feud. There we go.
Best of luck.
All right. Now,
Oh gosh.
no correct answer to these questions,
No
okay?
correct?
You
Okay.
give me your best opinion. I will choose which one
So
of
you're
you
just
is
like the judge.
smarter and dumber, okay?
Oh, we got to label it smart and dumb.
That's pretty offensive. I might be offended by
Let's
that.
start out. Everybody ready?
Okay.
Ready.
Question number 1. Who will end what?
Is it like a race to who answers first, or what's the?
No.
Oh,
Just
okay.
who gives the who gives the better opinion?
I'm sorry.
You're pissing off the host.
I'm
here.
sorry.
All right, question 1.
Go
what
ahead.
we got?
Go ahead.
Who will end up being the more iconic coach in Tennessee history? Tony Vitello or Kim Caldwell? What's your take?
Well, who goes first? You pick.
Either. I don't care.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it first.
So much.
I'm going to go with Kim Caldwell. Will end up becoming the most, what was the question again? The most, well,
More iconic.
the more iconic. I think Kim Caldwell will become the more iconic head coach because of the turnaround she is doing with this team. I think she has done a fantastic job of taking the reins from Kelly Harper and going from something that, was a decent product, but wasn't anything special, not really much to talk about, and turning it into one of the hottest teams in the country, in my opinion, and something that a lot of people like talking about. And I don't see that stopping anytime soon. So my vote is on Kim Caldwell.
Wow, that was an extensive answer there, pal.
I thought that was a great answer.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, we're getting favoritism already. Look, if you look at it from the history perspective, sure, Kim Caldwell's turned this, the program around really quick and really fast. I think if you're looking at history-wise, baseball and the UT baseball team, they were really struggling before Vitello came in. If you look at the history of it, I mean, years upon years of struggle on the UT baseball team. They were no runs going. It was just a really, really sad stretch. I've only been talking about 10 seconds. Thank you. And I'm going to tell you what, look, it's a matter of how much work he's done in the time that he's been here, and it's quite a lot. He's turned this team around, and they're national champions. He's got results for his work.
That is true. Is now when you send him off, or is that later?
Okay.
I can't even believe the
You're done.
cockiness.
You are both done. Thank you. Both great takes. I'm going to give this one to Luke Lamery.
Brutal. Don't agree at all.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
All right, next up.
All right.
Miss Sophie. It's hard to root against Sophie.
It is. It is. Everyone should know that. Never root against me.
Okay.
I'm kidding. kind of scared.
Same deal. No right answer. Best take. You ready?
Okay.
If one coach, past or present, would be recognized as the face of UT athletics, who should it be right now?
Past or present?
Past or present.
There is only one right answer to this, and that would be Pat Summitt, legendary, one of the most successful NCAA coaches in women's history. 8 national championships, changed the face of women's sports forever. Need I go on in the Basketball Hall of Fame? What's your best shot, Lamery?
Wow, you're forgetting a major face of UT athletics here. Let's talk about General Robert Nealand here, who is the face of our football stadium. Really had an impressive winning percentage. I think it was .829, his winning percentage over his 3 stints here.
Are you sure about
at
that?
Tennessee. You can stat check if
He
you
had
want,
the
if you want to.
.9. He was
I'm just saying. Look, it's a really impressive run. He really put UT football on the map when we were getting started in the 30s and 40s. He took a break for World War II. He's a veteran. Okay, he's a veteran. Are you going to argue against the veterans right now?
Hold on.
He came back. He came back and served another stint after
Throw
that.
the veteran card. This is about the time at UT, Lamery.
Okay, so are you going to say that our veterans don't matter?
Okay. All right.
I'm just saying it's a valid argument. You're not contributing to his
Okay,
veteran
you're done. You're done.
He talks a while.
You just interrupted me.
Luke, you're gone.
Neyland Stadium.
Thank you.
Sophie, good
You
job.
may need to leave that
I'd
way.
give it to
Luke,
Pat
Luke,
Summit.
no. Yep, Luke, around that way. There we go.
He's
Alright.
just, he doesn't
Go in
want
front of
to
Alexi,
shame.
otherwise
He's
you're gonna
upset.
lap.
Good
Walk of
riddance.
shame.
Yeah, wait, Alexi,
Take
scoot
a
back
step
a little
I'm
bit.
sorry. I'm so
I get to
sorry.
look
There we
you
go.
down as you've eliminated me. There you down.
Welcome,
That's luck,
Mr.
that's
Shock,
luck.
to the stand.
First time arguing. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous.
These two don't have problems arguing. None of them do. Okay, number 3. Who is the most underrated coach? Once again, past or present, that should be given more credit, not talked about enough.
Underrated? Oh, ladies first, me.
This might be an issue.
Underrated coach? Philip Fulmer.
Okay.
I know he last national championship coach here, and I think we've forgotten that momentum a little bit. 1998 was it? Before I was alive. Before a lot of us were alive.
Can you
Remember
two
that
quiet
time
down over
sports-
there? Thank you.
Please calm down. Two SEC championships under his belt, and I think it would be great to kind of remember, that momentum that Tennessee had. Bring him back up. Get that spark for football going again.
Good point.
Does it have to be positive,
She's
or does it just?
I
Are
mean,
they remember? They should be
underrated
okay.
is a
My
you know
coach
what?
is underratedly terrible, and Lane Kiffin set this program back
Ah.
generations in his 1 year here. Positives are great, and I understand that there are great coaches in Tennessee, but there's one objectively terrible coach, and that's Lane Kiffin, the worst coach in Tennessee history. He should be remembered as what not to do as an athletic department as a whole. The worst. I yield my time.
Give it to me.
Bye.
All right, fair enough.
All right, let's represent the ladies.
I'll take
today.
it.
We've been up here.
I got 2 more.
All right.
Who dares?
I gotta
Who
find
dares?
my way
Come
over
on.
here.
Come on, brother.
All right.
Do you
I'm gonna
dare?
pull out the notes for this one.
Now you like being
Sophie,
against
lift your right foot
Tennessee.
real quick.
Oh,
we got
boy.
mic issues.
You love Texas.
Oh,
Don't
boy.
really know why you're here.
Other foot now.
Other
Who
foot.
is the worst
Oh.
head coach in Tennessee
Oh,
history?
well,
Come on.
Well, let me pull out my notes for that
No,
one.
please don't.
You're gonna give you a little somebody by the name of James Dupree. You ever heard of him?
Can we talk
he
about how
was
this guy has
terrible.
notes?
Okay.
Football head coach. Guess what his winning percentage was at his time at the University of Tennessee?
Tell us, Luke.
.306. God awful. Terrible. James Dupree, never heard of him for a great reason.
I've never heard of him.
Exactly. Beat that.
Well, I will, Luke. If you're a Vol native like myself, you're going to remember something that we call the Garantano era. That's when Jeremy Pruitt came to Tennessee. And he went 16 for 19. His last season, he was 3 of 7 and had 18 level 1 NCAA violations. And that is when our one and only Josh Heupel has come in, risen the football team from what it was. And I think he's going to go down as one of the worst ones. But it's okay. I lived through it. You're not from here.
She tried to save that response by mentioning Josh Heupel.
No, I didn't.
Just, I'd like to point
Jeremy
that out.
Pruitt, I mean,
Some collusion
rough time.
going on here. But
Okay, both great points. I've not heard of him. I've
good
heard of
reason.
him for bad reason. Let's give it to the crowd. My viewers back here. Who
James
thinks
Dupree.
Luke is the winner?
He's using notes. No, he's
James
not.
Dupree,
he's not
you
the
hear
winner.
that? You hear that? Come
Who
on.
thinks Sophie is the winner?
Yeah.
This is unanimous.
Can I stay here like a little bit,
It's time
a little
to
bit
go.
longer?
Guys, I came into this not even knowing what was going to happen. Been here.
There we go.
All right, Lamoury, send us off. This is a weird one for you two. Okay.
All right, we're working on it.
What we didn't
This
think
wasn't
about
planned.
was wireless
Here we go.
mics
Now I'm
when
gonna step
coming
in front of
into
you.
this competition.
Excuse me. Beep beep. Traffic. All right.
All right.
Here we go.
Back.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Hi, nice to see you.
Yeah. When were you here? When I beat you last? Was that the last
A
time?
questionable
everybody.
decision, pal.
Okay.
Let's talk about the judge here.
All right. Sorry?
Excuse me?
Yes, what up? A little playoff of Kiss, Marry, Kill here, okay? We have lifetime contract, a raise, and fire.
What?
Who do you have for the current coaches? You could give one a lifetime contract, give one a raise.
Oh, you're switching Kiss, Marry,
fire
Kill. I
one.
was like, okay,
Yes.
okay. I
You're
see.
not kissing Josh Heupel or nothing.
Well, I was-
We're not
yeah.
going there.
Not
We
that I
have
wanted
Josh
to or anything,
Heupel,
I didn't
Rick
want to.
Barnes, Kim Caldwell, Vitello, Karen Weekly, Eve Rackham-White, Matt Creddick. There's some Joe Kurt.
Okay, so there's more than 3 options.
Yes. Of
Yeah.
these options, so the first one.
What's the options again?
Let's go one each. So let me explain. Let's go one each. So the first one is who do we give a lifetime contract?
Lifetime contract.
I'm gonna go Tony V.
Okay.
Okay, so that's all we have right now is lifetime contract?
Yes. Pick
Sure.
one, pick your coach.
Yes. Who's your lifetime?
And what are the coaches? Okay.
Do you need the
you
card
go to
coach?
Give me the card of coaches. Oh, God. let's go Heupel. I like Heupel.
Okay.
You know, he's a little scratchy with the play calling.
Okay.
But I like his spirit. You know, he's really revitalized the team. Like you said, you know, the Pruitt era was terrible. Here comes Heupel. Really impressive.
Okay, that's enough.
I was on your side,
That's
yes,
enough.
until I walked up here
You're
and then you started.
Who's getting a raise?
Kim Caldwell.
I like it.
Kim Caldwell. Let's go with Matt Kretich, UT Swim and Dive. He's had a really impressive showing these last couple of weeks. He's been the coach for 20 years.
Kim had a baby.
He deserves a raise.
Kim had
Okay,
a baby.
she's already had her contract though. She's already had her contract work.
Okay.
Does she need a raise?
Yes. The worst one. Fire him right now. Who's going?
Joe Kurt.
Okay.
Frankly, because the other names on the list are more impressive than Joe Kurt.
Okay.
What do you got, Sark?
I don't feel comfortable saying which Tennessee head coach I would fire right now. I'm gonna go none of them.
You can't do that.
Yes, I can.
Okay, she can do
I
that.
think
They're
she
telling you
can.
she can do that.
I think she can. I'm gonna have to give Sophie
the win.
God forbid I follow the rules. I don't understand.
I feel like this was a little unfair. Regardless,
has
we're
no
short on
good
we're
answer.
short on
There's a
time.
little
We're
bit
short
of,
on time. Sophie,
favoritism here.
congratulations. You have the opportunity to give a victory speech if you'd like.
Oh, thank you
At the
everyone
podium.
for this opportunity. My colleagues, it meant a lot to me. I studied. My colleagues probably did not, but it's all right.
I vividly remember you telling me you did not.
I also remember that as well.
It's fine. Thank you all. Yay.
Congratulations, Sophie. Thank you so much for sticking around for an interesting and fun segment. Alexi, thank you so much for hosting said segment. Great questions. We
Thank you
appreciate
for the
it.
opportunity.
Of course. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of Torch Sports. Thank you so much for watching. If you want more Torch Sports content, you can follow us on Instagram. We're live right now at Torch Sports UTK and on Twitter at Torch Sports UTK. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter with the _, and we'll see you right back here next week. Peace.